So with the larger hook, I am going to do a slip knot, and I am going to chain 27, and we are going to work from the back to the front, and we are going to be making 2 identical panels. And for this size small, I am chaining 27. So I have my 27 chains, and we are going to be working in the second chain from the hook, so 1, 2, and we are going to turn our chain, and we are going to be working in the back bump of the chain. So the back bump is right here, and we are going to be working all the way across the chain, and we are going to be doing some half double crochets. So I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to insert my hook in the second chain from the hook, so 1, 2, I'm going to turn over, and I am going to insert my hook into the back bump of the chain, just like so. And I'm going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all loops, and I am going to chain my first stitch, and I like to do that so I do not lose my stitches along the way. And I am going to repeat half double crochets in the back bump of the chain all the way across the remaining chains, and we'll have a total at the end of 26 chains. I have finished my row, and now I'm going to chain 1 and turn my work, and we are going to be doing rows of half double crochets. So we are now going to be inserting our hook, and here, as we can see, we have our V of our stitch on the very top here, and we are going to insert our hook underneath both loops, and we are going to carry on all the way across. And I am going to do a half double crochet once again, so I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook in the very first stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up through all 3 loops, and once again I am going to place a stitch marker to not lose my first stitch, and I am going to repeat a half double crochet all the way across. And the back panel just consists of half double crochets, rows of half double crochets, and we are going to be doing, for this size, a total of 50 rows of half double crochets. So every row starts with a chain 1 and half double crochet all the way across our back panel. And this is for a total of 50 rows. So I have finished my 50 rows of my back section of my panel, and now we are ready just to get started on the front section of our panel. And in order to do that, we need to create our neckline, and I have placed a stitch marker on the opposite side of my hook on the 6th stitch, and this will create a gap here by reducing our stitch count. So for this side we should have a remaining 20 stitches. And just to show you here that once we fold our back panel with our front panel, this will create our neckline through here. So we will be carrying on with our pattern as we were before, and I am going to chain 1 and do a half double crochet in my very first stitch, and I am going to go ahead and place my stitch marker once again, and I am going to repeat my pattern across of half double crochets all the way across to the stitch marker. I am finishing my row of half double crochets to my stitch marker, and at the stitch marker I am going to chain one, and I am going to turn my work, and I am going to be repeating the pattern for 50 rows. So I'm going to do a half double crochet in the very first stitch and mark my first stitch with a stitch marker, and then we are going to continue with half double crochets all the way across, and we will be doing this for a total of 50 rows. I have finished my 2 panels and I have folded them at the shoulder, and I have picked a right side. Now the fabric is pretty much identical on both sides, so just pick whichever side that you prefer, that you might think look best for you. And we are ready just to be seaming the 2 backs together, the 2 panels together. So have your right side facing out, and I am going to turn my panels around so I am facing the back, and with my right side facing out we are going to be seaming the 2 sides together with a mattress stitch. So in order to do that I am going to use yarn and needle, and I am going to be inserting my needle at the very end of my first panel, and I am going to go around a couple of times to secure my yarn, and I am going to do the same thing onto the other side. And we are going to be doing a mattress stitch, and mattress stitch is quite easy, and with the right side facing out we are going to be inserting our needle between the gaps of our fabric. So we're not gonna have to make sure we don't go through the yarn, but we are going to insert from a gap in the fabric onto another gap from the fabric. So we will be going on one side, and we are going to be going onto the other side, back onto this side in a zigzag manner. So I am going to go onto the other side. I'm going to do the same thing, find a gap between my yarn and insert my needle this way, and then in a zigzag manner, and I am going to be repeating onto the other side. And once I get to a certain length I can just pull on my yarn, and I will just pull through and create this invisible seam. So you don't want it too tight, otherwise it makes it a little uncomfortable to wear, but just tighten it enough so the actual yarn that you're using to seam it with disappears. So I am going to continue in a zigzag manner all the way across the back of my sweater, all the way up to my shoulders, and this way we are going to be seaming the 2 back panels together to create the back of our sweater. Now that I have finished seaming the 2 back panels together, I am ready to get started on seaming the sides of our sweater. And for this size small, I have placed a stitch marker on the 34th stitch on the sides, and I have counted 34 stitches from the bottom of my sweater, and I have placed a stitch marker through both the front and the back panels to mark my armhole right here, and I have repeated this on the other side. And we are going to be seaming the sides of our sweater exactly the same way as we did with the back panels, and we are going to align our front and back panel together with the right sides facing upward. And with yarn and needle, I am going to use a mattress stitch once again, and I am to seam in a zigzag manner all the way up to my stitch marker. And once I'm done with this side, I will be repeating it onto the other side. Now that I'm done with my seaming of my back panels and my two sides, we are ready to get started on the sleeves. And the sleeves are going to be constructed directly onto the sweater. And to do that, I've attached my yarn at the armpit, and with the same hook, my larger hook, I am going to chain one and half double crochet in the very same stitch. And we are going to be doing a row of half double crochets all the way around the armhole to create our sleeves. And for this size, we are going to be doing 40 stitches. So we will have 20 stitches on one side, 20 stitches onto the other side. And we are going to be placing them as evenly as possible all the way around. So I am going to continue to place my half double crochets all the way around the armhole to create my sleeve. And for this size, we need 40 stitches. I have gone around my armhole and finished my row of half double crochets, and I've arrived at my very first stitch, and I am going to be doing a slip stitch in my first stitch, and I am going to turn my work. So we were working on the right side of our sleeve. Now we are going to be working on the wrong side of our sleeve, and we are going to be chaining one, and we are going to continue doing half double crochets in our first stitch and all the way around the armhole, and I am going to continue to do half double crochets all the way around the armhole. So I have finished my row on the wrong side of my fabric, and I am going to be slip stitching onto my first stitch, and I am going to chain one and turn my work, and I am going to repeat this last two rows, and I am going to do a half double crochet in the very first stitch of my sleeve. And we are going to continue to repeat these last two rows. And the reason I'm doing this in rows instead of doing rounds, we will end up with a straighter seam. So I am going to continue to half double crochet all the way around, slip stitch to my first stitch, chain one and turn. And for this size, we are going to be doing 26 rows in total. If you would like to have shorter or longer sleeves, just add or subtract rows. I have finished my last row of my sleeve, and for this size it was 28 rows, not 26. And I am going to slip stitch to my very first stitch, just like so. And now I am going to be switching to my smaller hook. For this sweater, it is a 5mm H, and I am going to be chaining one. And we are now going to be working on our calves, and in order to do that, we are going to reduce the amount of stitches we have around our sleeve. And for this size, we have 40 stitches right now. We are going to reduce by 16, meaning that we'll have a remaining 24 stitches for our cuff. And we are going to be doing some half double crochet 2 together, and the pattern is as follows. So we are going to yarn over, insert my hook into my first stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, and I'm going to yarn over, repeat this into the next stitch. So go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up another loop. I'm going to yarn over and pull through all 5 loops, and this is our first stitch. I'm going to replace my stitch marker, and I am going to repeat half double crochet 2 together into the next 2 stitches and pull through all 5 3 loops, and I am going to do a regular half double crochet in the next stitch. So I am going to be repeating half double crochet 2 together, another half double crochet 2 together, and a half double crochet. So basically it's going to be reducing 5 stitches into 3 stitches. So I am going to continue, and I am going to half double crochet 2 together into the next 2 stitches, yarn over and pull through all 5. I'm going to do another half double crochet 2 together in the next 2 stitches, pull through all 5, and a regular half double crochet. And I am going to be repeating this all the way around. Half double crochet 2 together twice, and a regular half double crochet. I am now going to be slip stitching to my very first stitch, and I am going to be chaining 13. I am going to slip stitch in the second chain from my hook, so 1 2, and I am going to continue to slip stitch the remaining chains all the way up to my sleeve's edge. I'm finishing my last slip stitch of my cuff. You should have a total of 12 stitches across the cuff. And I am now going to find the first half double crochet of my sleeve, and I am going to do another slip stitch, and I am going to turn my work. And now we are going to be working into the cuff, and we are going to do some slip stitch in the back loop only. So we have our V here once again, and we are going to insert our hook in the back loop only of the stitch. So we are going to skip the very first, the slip stitch that we just did. So this one here is the slip stitch that we attached the cuff onto our sleeve. So we are going to skip that and work in the very first stitch and back loop only right here. So I am going to grab my yarn, skip the slip stitch, and work into the first stitch of my cuff. And it's a little tight to begin with, but once we get a little fabric to hold on to, it will get a little easier. And I am going to continue all the way across my 12 stitches all the way to the end, doing slip stitch in a back loop only. I am finishing my last slip stitch in the back loop, and I am going to chain 1 and turn my work, and I am going to repeat the slip stitch in the back loop all the way across back to my sleeve. And remember not to make these stitches too tight, otherwise it will be very difficult to work into the stitches. At the sleeve's edge, I am going to find the next half double crochet and do another slip stitch, and I am going to turn my work. And we are going to be repeating these last 2 rows all the way around the sleeve. So once again, I am going to skip the slip stitch of the sleeve and the cuff and insert my hook into the next stitch and do slip stitch in the back loop only all the way across my 12 stitches. And I am going to turn around, repeat all the way around the sleeve. I have finished my cuff and I have fastened off, and I have turned my sleeve inside out, ready to seam the cuff together. And we are with my needle and yarn, I am going to seam the cuff with a whip stitch. So I am going to insert my needle onto one side of the fabric and to the other side, and I am going to pull through, and I am going to repeat this all the way to the end. At the end I will be fastening off and weaving in my end. Now with our sweater blocked and dry, we are ready to get started on the waistband, and we are going to be doing a row of double crochet all the way around the bottom of our sweater. And I have placed my yarn at the very bottom of my left panel, and we have the right side facing us, and I am going to insert my hook and I am going to chain 3. And the chain 3 counts as a stitch. For this size we need to have 82 double crochets all the way around, so I am evenly going to be placing them around the bottom of my sweater. And the double crochet goes as follows. So I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook into the stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. I'm going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, yarn over, pull through the next 2. And I am going to carry on all the way around, and for this size, once again we need 82 stitches. I have finished my row of double crochet. I have turned my work in chain 3. We are now going to be working in the back post of our stitch. As you can see, the double crochet creates this post right here, and we are going to work in the front post. So we will insert our hook from the front to the back, go around the post and come through the other side. And we are also going to work in the back post of the stitch, going from the back to the front, around the post and coming through the other way. So to get started, the first stitch of our row is our chain 3, and I am going to do a back post double crochet in the first stitch. I'm going to yarn over, insert my hook from the back to the front, go through the other side. I'm going to yarn over, pull up a loop. I'm going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. The next 4 stitches consist of our pattern, and we are going to be repeating these 4 stitches all the way across, all the way up to the last 4 stitches of the row. So I am going to yarn over, and I'm going to do 2 front post double crochet. I'm going to insert my hook through the front post, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. I'm going to do another front post double crochet, followed by 2 back post double crochet. And I am going to yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, 1 more back post double crochet. And I am going to repeat this 4 stitches repeat all the way across to the last 4 stitches. I have arrived at my last 4 stitches of my row, and I am going to be doing 2 front post double crochets in the next 2 stitches, followed by 1 back post double crochet, and our last stitch will be a regular double crochet, and we will place it at the very top of the beginning chain of the previous row. So I am going to insert it at the very top and do a regular double crochet, and I'm going to chain 3 and turn my work. As we can see, our ribbing is starting to show with our front and back post ribbing, and the second row consists of doing exactly the same way as we were in the previous row, except we will be doing it in reverse. So we start with a chain 3. Previous row started chain 3 and a back post double crochet. This one will be a chain 3 and a front post double crochet, followed by 2 back post double crochet and 2 front post double crochets. So we are going to basically do as we did in the previous row, and we are going to carry on all the way across until our last 4 stitches of our row. I am going to finish my row by working in the last 4 stitches and doing 2 back post double crochets in the next 2 stitches, and going to do a front post double crochet, and to finish the row we are going to be working in the beginning chain of the previous row and doing a regular double crochet. We are going to chain 3 and turn our work, and we are going to repeat these last 2 rows 2 more times for a total of 6 rows. I have finished my 6th row, and I am going to chain 3 and turn my work, and we are going to do one final row of front and back post double crochets for a total of 7 rows, plus our foundation double crochet. So there will be a total of 8 rows altogether. We have finished with our waistband, and now we're ready to get started with the collar of our sweater. I have attached the yarn at the bottom of my front panel, of my right front panel, and this is the right side facing. And we are going to do a row of double crochet that is going to go all the way around the sweater, the front edge of our sweater. And for this size we are going to be doing 66 stitches up to the neck, doing 14 double crochets across the neck, and do another 66 stitches across the other front panel. And as I said, I have attached my yarn at the bottom of my right front panel, and I am going to chain 3. Now remember, the chain 3 counts as a stitch, and I am going to go ahead and place my double crochet as evenly as possible across my front panel, my neck, and the other front panel. I have finished with my foundation row of double crochet, and I am going to be chaining 3 and turning my work, and we are going to be repeating the same pattern as we did for our waistband. So we are going to be doing the front post and back post double crochet pattern for a total of 5 rows. So I am going to start with a back post double crochet in my next stitch, followed by 2 front post double crochets, followed by 2 back post double crochets, and I am going to repeat this for a total of 5 rows. Once we have our last row finished, we will be weaving all our ends in. We'll be fastening up first, and we'll be weaving all our ends in to finish our sweater.